Hey guys, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, Andrea, for inviting me into the group and following great people who did such a good job already before me. So a lot of pressure for me here. I'm excited to come and talk about this case that Andrea forwarded to me. And then hopefully you guys can learn from the way I do TCM Diagnosis and the way I like to teach it. Everybody has their own little style. So without further ado, enjoy this. And if you have any question, totally put them underneath. And when I have time, I will definitely come down and hopefully answer them all. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoy this and let's get it rocking. All right, you guys. So let's start it up. We're going to look at the causes, the TCM diagnosis, the pattern differentiations, treatment principles, point protocol, herbal formula, and diet. Let's just read through it together just to get us back into the case and to make sure we're all on the same page. So it's a male that's 33 years old, self-employed in a family business, and he's a DJ. He's had as a chief complaint increased awareness of tinnitus for the past 6 months. Always a constant low-level tinnitus, but wants to get back to not being aware of it at all. Oh, tinnitus is such a hard and difficult disorder to get rid of. Now, he's aware of it every day. The volume goes up and down. It's clicking, popping, and he gets pressure. Worse on when he gets colds, worse on stress, of course, working too long or too many hours, I guess, and alcohol. History, always had a snotty nose as a kid, tonsils removed, wisdom teeth extracted. He's a drummer since he was 11, and he's a DJ since 19. So tinnitus has been diagnosed since age 29, but I'm sure that probably started before that due to drumming and DJing. He has a deviated septum, which was operated 4 months ago. So obviously he had issue with breathing, which makes sense. Antihistamine makes no difference. Other symptoms are tried antidepressant, doesn't feel good on them, so he stopped. Daily Baroka. So that must be something that's in England because I've never heard of Baroka. I'm not sure what that is. So you guys can teach me that because in Canada, never heard of that. Catch cold frequently, drinks too much alcohol, stopped smoking a year ago. In his teen and 20s, he used a lot of drugs. On his mother's side, there was anxiety and depression. And on his father's side, sinus problems, which I think both sides, he inherited both sides. Secondary symptoms is sinus pressure. Past 6 months block most of the time, but I can actually clear it. Emotion, lots of stress, lots of anxiety, ongoing for a long time, increased by working relationship with father and uncertainty of Brexit. Oh boy, Brexit. Let's not even start with that. Has anxiety, low mood, can have bursts of anger and argues with his father. He worries, overthinks things, and feels overwhelmed. He is prone to bloating, diarrhea, and gas or flatulence, acid reflux. Problem falling asleep, waking, and vivid dreams. Prone to have a shot of alcohol at 3 a.m. to get back to sleep. Not the best thing to do. Wakes up exhausted. Prone to fatigue varying from very low to, not too bad, 7. I guess that's not too bad, but obviously 1 is really low in the last week. Physical, he has neck and shoulder tension or pain, headaches. Now the headache, I don't know where the headache is, so that's tough because I don't know if they were on the temporal area, occipital area, frontal. Dehydration would be frontal and behind the eyes mostly if it's a young male headache. He bites his nails, athlete foot, and runs, swims twice a week. So his tongue is scalloped. His pulse is wiry, specifically on the left and right guan position or middle position. And he's slight weight gain around the middle. So here we are. Let's start it up. So the causes, I like to start with the causes first, right? Because it's really important that we figure out what the causes are. Because if we can remove the cause and we can educate the patient in removing the causes, then we are educators first. And then we are also guiding the patient in getting better. So if we have the causes and we can remove them, then it's much easier. And in TCM, we can't treat everything. We can't help every disorder, but we can always figure out the cause. So that's something that's important, because then we can tell the patient if the cause is not removed or we can't remove it, then we're just managing. And if all we do is managing, then that's all we can do. Make sense? Okay, so let's look at the causes with this gentleman. So first, obviously, loud music for years. He's a drummer and he is a DJ, so he's in that stress noise, right? This is noise pollution that he gets in his ears for many, many years, which obviously is going to create repetitive trauma to the ear canal, and that in turn creates the tinnitus, right? That makes sense. We know the cause. So that's probably not going to go away because he's still going to drum because he likes it, and he's probably still going to DJ because he probably enjoys it. So that's the problem. We're not removing the cause if, that's the issue. Emotions, of course, the anxiety, the overthinking, the worry, many years of low mood, right? He has depression and anxiety that's been passed on. So that also, in the anger, will create issues. That can be addressed. He can do a lot of work on his own. He can, obviously, acupuncture can help, but he can do counselor, meditation, look for, trying to improve the way his reaction to his anger, for example, would be a good one. But obviously, there's lots of things we can do to help out in that department, because TCM is awesome when it comes to emotions and issues with that. The other thing is lifestyle, right? Of course, years of drugs, he drinks a lot of alcohol. I don't know what his diet is, so I'm not really sure if it's good or not. That would have been great to know a little bit more about this. But obviously, lifestyle is not great. And he wakes up in the night and he drinks wine, like that's going to put him back to sleep. That's just, or alcohol, any kind of alcohol, I guess. That is not great, right? He smoked up until recently. He stopped now, which is great. But obviously, his lifestyle up until now has not been that great, right? So that we can play with, and we can guide the patient into changing things, right? And try to help them with that. So I think there's definitely a bit of an addiction into the alcohol as well. So let's continue. So let's look at symptoms, right? So the one that I underlined there are things that I think are really much related to liver and TCM, right? So the stress affects the liver first. Years and years of stress can obviously deplete also kidney and age us faster. But at the beginning, it really affects liver and TCM. Alcohol does the same thing. Antidepressant, meaning he was depressed, right? So if you are depressed, not the antidepressant itself, but depression always has liver qi stagnation, because people are depressed or stuck. They feel stuck in the depression. They feel like there's no way out, right? And then there's other patterns of depression depending on many symptoms, but there's always liver qi stagnation. Alcohol again, of course, stress again, anger, of course, that's liver. Feels overwhelmed. So overwhelm is pressure, right? And pressure, usually overwhelm, is liver overact on spleen, or would overact on earth. So liver qi stagnation, creating overthinking and worrying, which is spleen, which depletes the spleen. So he definitely has some liver, and then spleen comes as well. Flatulence or gas. Gas is usually due to a liver qi stagnation or a liver overacting, again, wood overacting on earth and creating some issues. Alcohol at 3 a.m. 3 a.m., of course, 1 to 3 a.m. is liver time. So that again is liver. Neck and shoulder tension. So that's the stress that's accumulating, the pain in the neck and the shoulder. And that's an area of the gallbladder, which is the sister of the liver. So that same thing is some liver qi stagnation or gallbladder qi being stagnated within the meridian. Headaches, again, could be to liver and stress, but I don't know enough about the headache, what brings it on, how often, and where it is on the head to make a decision on that. He does bite his nails. So biting nails is usually an OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder when you stress, right? You bite your nail when you stress. So that again is due to when he's really stressed, and liver is related to nails. So this is very, very much a liver related. And of course, the pulse is wiry on the liver side and also on the spleen side on the middle position. So this is a lot of liver. Most of it is liver qi stagnation with, when more stress is occurring, some liver yang rising, right? With the anger, with the alcohol and the stress that makes it or worsen it. So it's a liver qi stagnation leading to liver yang rising, or having liver yang as an issue that's stemming from liver qi stagnation. The black little underlining. Always a constant low level of tinnitus. So high-pitched tinnitus is liver yang rising, which he probably had at the beginning. But now that it's constant and it's low level, that is becoming more of a kidney deficiency. So now he's basically aging his body with repetitive noise pollution. And so now this is going to be very difficult to get rid of because now that's affecting the kidney. Remember, the kidney is related to ears, but the gallbladder meridian goes around the ears. So if it's high pitch, it's due to stress, which affects the gallbladder, which affects the liver. So more liver yang rising. If it's constant and low pitch, then that becomes a kidney deficiency. So again, that's tougher to get rid of. He had his wisdom teeth extracted, I assume because there was issues. So that could be a kidney as well. Teeth, bones, all related to kidney. I don't know enough to be sure. Like I said, he's a drummer for a long time and a DJ for a long time, which creates the tinnitus and ages in him faster. Because tinnitus is something that a lot of people get as they get older. It's not something that people get when they're young if it's constant. So he definitely depleted his kidney, right? Deviated septum. So he was born with a septum that was deviated. Again, that's a structural issue. That's the genetic essence root kidney issue. He did a lot of drugs, which again aged his body faster because he depleted his postnatal chi, right? Or instead of doing a good lifestyle to preserve his prenatal chi that was given to him, he depleted it with drugs. He took antidepressants, so we saw that. This is all the antidepressant. I want to say if it's passed on, if it's genetic, I would say that it is also kidney related. It could be liver, but also kidney if it's passed on and genetic as well. Then we have the orange and brown. So the snotty nose, the tonsils, this is all lung related, right? There's issue with his lungs. Obviously, tonsil means his lung chi was not strong enough to provide to be able to fight infection. And he probably had so many that they removed them. Snotty nose, obviously, he had a lot of, mucus in the nose, which could be depleted or due to lung being depleted. He smoked, which didn't help his lung chi at all. He catch colds easily or frequently. Again, that's a lung chi deficiency or wei chi deficiency. He has sinus pressure, which is blocked all the time. So obviously, he has too much dampness in his sinuses, right? That's affecting his sinuses. It could be due to diet. It could be due to alcohol, because alcohol is very damp and it creates heat. So the heat creates the liver yang rising and more liver issue, but the damp of the alcohol, depending what kind of alcohol he drinks, maybe, depends what it is, but it creates dampness. And maybe his diet is damp as well. I don't know. Also, you worry and overthinks. So that's more of a spleen issue, right? Spleen chi deficiency with years of worry and overthink, it depletes the spleen. He has a hard time falling asleep. When someone cannot fall asleep, it's either a heart and spleen blood deficiency or it is a liver overact on spleen. I think for him, it's a liver overact on spleen, meaning the liver is stressed and then it makes the spleen overthink and then they can't fall asleep, right? So this is definitely more a wood overact on earth kind of issue. He has bloating and diarrhea. So again, bloating could be liver chi stagnation or it could be a spleen chi deficiency with dampness. Diarrhea, obviously, is a spleen chi deficiency with dampness in this instance. He has acid reflux. I haven't talked about this, but this is usually liver overact on stomach. So again, wood overact on earth. So it's affecting the spleen more, but he has a little bit of stomach being affected with the acid reflux. He also is prone to fatigue. Usually, if he wakes up exhausted, so when you wake up exhausted, it's spleen time in the morning. That means it's spleen chi deficiency. And of course, he's not sleeping very well. And he's prone to fatigue. Again, that's more of a spleen chi deficiency in general, right? So he also has athlete's foot. So obviously he has fungal or fungus issue, which means his lung chi or his wei chi, his defensive chi is weak and is not able to fight. And if athlete's foot is also fungus, fungus is dampness, right? So dampness keeps recurring, spleen chi recurs, lung chi recurs in that. Scallop tongue is usually, again, something that recurs with this gentleman. It's wood overact on earth or liver over control spleen. So that's a spleen chi deficiency with a liver chi stagnation. And he has a bit of weight gain around the middle, which means obviously he's getting some dampness, maybe a bit of phlegm that's affecting the spleen. So having said all this, let's look at the diagnosis. So I tried to look at the 8 principle, but with just gentlemen, there's a lot of yang, but there's also a lot of yin. It's mostly yang in the excess heat, but there's excess dampness, and dampness is yin. There's spleen Qi deficiency, which is more of a yin issue, right? But there's also liver Qi stagnation, liver yang rising, and that's an excess. So with the 8 principle, very difficult to kind of look at them in that perspective. However, looking at the Zhang Fu organ and the 5 element, much easier in that perspective. So let's look at the first one that we talked about. It's definitely a liver Qi stagnation due to stress, leading to liver yang rising due to alcohol on top of it and more pressure, right? He has definitely a very vivid picture on the 5 element of wood overacting on earth, right? It's definitely more liver overacting on spleen, but there's a little bit of gallbladder there, and there's definitely a little bit of stomach. So it's a very much wood overact on earth, which is definitely there, which creates the spleen Qi deficiency. There is also kidney and lung Qi deficiency. So that's due to all the lifestyle and the constitution and the aging system that's going faster for him due to the fact that he did drugs and all his alcohol and everything else. So there's also a lot of dampness, right? So we saw that specifically affecting the lung and the spleen. So that also shows in his symptoms. So there's a lot of excess, but there's also a lot of deficiency, right? He's really a mix of everything, and he has a lot of issues. So let's look at the mechanism of it. Years of drumming, drugs, alcohol depleted kidney Qi or aged him faster. He had a lot of issues with TCM lung as a child, which shows weak constitution, right? Because he had the deviated septum, he had a lot of issue with his tonsils. So again, which didn't help later on because, he continued to deplete his lung. But stress, noise pollution, alcohol also cause the liver yang to rise often. And of course, all this creates excess in the liver, which overacts on the spleen and stomach, depleting the spleen and making the stomach Qi rebel. Stress and a weak constitution lead to lung Qi deficiency. So the stress from the liver insult back the lung and depletes the immune system. Stress always depletes the immune system. That's just a given, right? And of course, he also has a weak constitution, which means that obviously his lung Qi is not very strong. I don't know if he was premature, but I would bet that he was a premature baby. It'd be interesting to know. And then the last one is lung, spleen, and kidney deficiency cannot metabolize water, because remember, lung, spleen, and kidney are in charge of the water metabolism in the body. So they can't because they're all deficient. So it results in excess dampness in the lungs, specifically the nose, in the spleen with the digestive system, right? Obviously. And the kidney deficiency is just a whole part of diarrhea as well. So all those will deplete or will enable those 3 to metabolize water, and it results in excess dampness. So I hope that made sense and that the mechanism helped you understand how I went about looking at this case. So let's look at treatment principles. The treatment principle is to go by your diagnosis. So if it's liver Qi stagnation, we have to move Qi, liver Qi, and we have to bring the liver yang down. We have to tonify the kidney, the lung, and spleen Qi because they're all 3 of them deficient. We have to eliminate the excess dampness, which would be great by eliminating the alcohol and talking about diet. Open the ears, because he came for tinnitus specifically. And of course, calm the mind, right? So we want to harmonize the mind and the body, and that's our most important treatment principle. So let's look at acupuncture point. I went very basic. We can go much more in depth, but I wanted to start with basic because you guys, if you're here to learn because you're in school, then sure. So I picked liver 3, liver 2. So liver 3 is moving Qi, best point for that, and liver 2 will bring the liver yang down. I will explain why I did right and left in a minute once I finish. I picked spleen 6 because it is the crossing point of liver, kidney, and spleen. So that helps all 3 of them, right? It moves liver Qi, tonifies spleen, and tonifies kidney. So it's perfect. Kidney 6 and lung 7 to tonify either, I was going to say both, kidney and lung. Specifically, kidney 6 is good too because it's also good for tinnitus. And stomach 36 to balance the digestive system, but also to tonify Qi in general, and specifically spleen and stomach. Spleen 9 for dampness, to clear dampness in general. Li 20 to open the nose because he has so many issues still. And gallbladder 34 to eliminate dampness, specifically with the pressure in the ear, because that could also be dampness affecting the ear as well. So, and it'll help also with the diarrhea and the bloating. So that's good. Sanjiao 5, stomach 7 and gallbladder 2 to open the ears. So 1 distal and 2 local to open the ears for the tinnitus. And then I wanted to do stomach 40 and PC6 to calm the mind. Stomach 40 has a really one of my favorite points. It's great for anxiety, for depression, for people that feel worry, overthinking. It's the lower connecting point of stomach to spleen. So it's also really good to balance digestion. It's great for excess phlegm, dampness / dampness phlegm. So it's really a good point, I think, for him. And PC6 to calm the anxiety, calm the mind so he can sleep better, but also because PC6 is a great point to bring stomach chi down as well for the acid reflux. So it's kind of like you're doing 2 things at once. You could pick a lot more points to calm the mind. Of course, you could do, yin tong, you could do ear shenmen. I think if he wanted to work on his addiction to alcohol, maybe doing the 5 NADA ear protocol points, that might also help him. So NADA protocol ear point would be ear shenmen, sympathetic, liver, lung, and kidney. Okay, so that's something also that can be put in there. I didn't want to put everything in the kitchen sink, but I wanted to give you the basic. Also for formulas, I'm not sure if you guys were looking for formulas, but the 2 main formulas that are great are Sha Yao San, which is often translated by the Rambling Powder or the Easy, Free and Easy Wanderer. It basically is one of the main, most classic formula for wood overact on earth or liver qi stagnation creating spleen qi deficiency. So that's a great formula for that. And then Tianma Gotanyen is specifically for tinnitus. It is for liver yang rising with a kidney deficiency, which he has both. So that's a really good one as well. And it helps with sleep as well. So, and the irritability and the anger. So I think that's a great formula. Those 2 formulas are great for him. Diet-wise, I don't know what his diet is. So I wanted to recommend cooked greens, great for liver, bone broth, great for kidney, lemon water, specifically for liver qi stagnation, and for spleen to have small meals, right? Cooked food, no raw food, no cold food for him. Even though he has excess heat when he has the liver yang rising, I don't want to go and deplete his spleen more. But he needs to avoid the alcohol, sugar, dairy, because sugar and dairy will also create more dampness, and of course processed food, because that affects the mind as well. So lots of things we can recommend. Again, if I knew his diet, it would be probably easier, but I wanted to give you how I went about it. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I went really fast. You know me, it's like bang, 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 go, go, go. If you have any questions, post them underneath and I would love to answer them. Thank you again for inviting me. You guys keep rocking it with your TCM studies. Andrea, you're amazing on social media. You just give so much of yourself. You're going to be an amazing practitioner. I could see it already. So thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. And if you want more, you know where to go, right? Keep rocking it using TCM. I have lots of more on my website. You can check everything there. You can also connect on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram if you haven't already. I'm the only one that's doing everything at AcuProAcademy.com. It's just me, and I'm loving every minute of it. Thank you, everybody, for your support, and have a great day. Happy New Year!